Good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems, and just want to welcome you here this afternoon. As you can see on our screen that we have posted right now, that we're going to be talking about how to start a medical billing business with no coding background. We obviously get several questions throughout the year, and there are usually about 4 or 5 top questions, this one being one of them. How do I get started in a medical billing company and billing business and not know medical coding? So today, that's what Patrick and I are going to do today, is kind of go through somewhat in detail about why you don't need to know medical coding and how we'll be able to help supply that for you, and even process a claim today and show that to you on screen as best we can today. So again, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Hey, Eric, this is a good one. I see a lot of folks on this one. I guess a lot of people are wondering, how in the world do you start a business that does medical billing for doctors without knowing anything about codes?
Exactly. Well, and obviously that's a great question to find out, because what you and I know about is that when we go Google stuff on the internet, people will find that to be a medical coder is probably a 2 to 4 year process. So how in the world can we take somebody in 5 days and make them to what we say is a medical revenue manager without having to know medical coding?
Yeah, well, just to kind of illustrate that, Eric, you found this article. It was just published, what, just 2 or 3 weeks ago in Healthcare Finance News. And we've put this up on the screen, folks, so that you can actually see there. Look at, let's see, Eric, I guess you can point to the area there where it says the transition to, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a screen ahead of you here, to the very first one there, too much administrative work. That's why doctors are thinking about going to work for a hospital, for example, or selling their practice, is because there's just a ton of administrative. People don't realize how much paperwork there is in just running a medical practice.
Right. And a lot of our services actually take care of that, and you can see that being 40%, that's huge. But the next two, and with one of those two is one of the ones we're going to talk about today, which is one of the codes. So we've got 35% on profitability challenges, and then another 35% on regulatory burdens, which has to do with medical coding.
Yeah, almost a third, over a third of the doctors that were surveyed in this survey say that basically it's the pressure of having to keep up with all this. And that's the beauty about outsourcing their billing to somebody like yourself, folks. If you become an ABS licensee, will teach you how to do that billing for the doctor and take that burden off of them.
Yeah, and here's just another, taking all of those doctors there again in that transition to ICD-10. Again, Patrick and I are going to explain that to you here in just a little bit, but here are some of the key challenges that the doctors are facing. Of this transition of codes, 52% of those doctors are still struggling with that. And matter of fact, we're going to show you a more recent article where it's just basically telling you the doctors are still struggling to get paid. And we want to make sure that you see that as well. So Patrick, as we get started here, obviously people are wondering, okay, there are these medical codes, and that can be a little frightening, especially whenever people are thinking about getting into medical billing.
Well, let's first illustrate, Eric, how we think of this whole process of helping the doctor. It's not just doing their billing, but it's managing what we call the revenue cycle for doctors. Their revenue cycle involves everything that has to do with getting cash in the door. The claims preparation, the claims submission, the claims management, and the reporting, all of that has to do with that. And of course, for a lot of doctors, that's way too much, and they spend way too much time, messing with that, hiring staff and training them and keeping them up to speed on all that stuff. But that's what we love to do here at ABS, and we love distinguishing between people who are out there doing medical billing and medical coding. So why don't you address that a little bit, Eric, and tell them what the differences are there?
Yeah, we put this up here because, first of all, I know a lot of people, when they get involved in doing their due diligence and their research, they're really looking about how in the world it looks like am I still on, Patrick? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My video froze on, at least on my side. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, but
when people looking to get into the business, they're looking at it's hard to distinguish between what's a medical coder and what's a medical biller. And so what we were trying to illustrate here is the two pictures that you see of these two ladies here. The lady on the left-hand side, you can actually see she's got books, and what these books are coding books. And we just try to simplify this as best we can for our audience today. And what a coder will do is take the doctor's notes and then look them up and explain that. They got to know all the body parts and what the doctor's actually done from the doctor's actually written notes, and then turn those into a numerical medical code. Then the medical biller will take those numerical medical codes and then input those into a billing system for payment. So obviously what we want to demonstrate here is that medical coding and medical billing are actually two separate things here.
And we don't teach you to really be specifically either one of these two. We have a different designation that we've come up with. And in fact, you're certified at the end of our live training workshop here in Dallas. You're certified as, well, you can see it right there on that certificate, Certified Medical Revenue Manager. Now, folks, that's the best of both worlds. Basically, you're now managing, don't have to know anything about coding, because the codes, as you'll see as we get into it here, are given to you by the doctor. But, of course, you're going to have to be partly, at least at first, a medical biller, or hire somebody to do that for you.
Right. And so, obviously, as you're getting started in your business, you will do some medical billing. And again, as Patrick mentioned, we're just going to show you exactly how you're going to actually do that. But we really want to clarify here that medical coding is a specialty. It'll take anywhere from 2 to 4 years to be what's called a certified professional coder. Now, when you're a medical revenue manager, you can either hire a certified professional coder, or as you'll see at the end of our webinar today, how you'll utilize one of our services called CodeWrite and use our certified professional coders. And I think, Patrick, I know well over 100 different type of CPC folks, and in all the different types of specialties too. So we're not just talking about one specialty like cardiology, because certainly a lot of our licensees have cardiologists and podiatrists, and you've got to have sometimes very specific coders to do some of those certain things.
Yeah, so that's why we go back to this concept, folks, of Certified Medical Revenue Manager. You're not going to be either a medical coder or a medical biller. You're going to be a manager of those things.
And the reason why we put it this way is we want to show you that you're really a higher level than just a medical biller or a medical billing company. When you get certified and become a medical revenue manager, you're able to go in and talk to that doctor on a consultative level. Because, again, if you just walk in and say, hey, I've just opened up a new medical billing company, well, in their minds, they've got this picture of people like what we see here on the screen here. Is just that's just worker bees to be able to do that. But when you go in as the consultative medical revenue manager, you're able to deliver so much more, and that's why we have all the different services. So you're not just pigeonholed into just be looking at as a medical biller.
Right. So doctors want to deal with, and even office managers, they want to deal with somebody who really is the top dog, right? The buck stops here. They want to talk with the owner of a company, and they like to think that that person is a certified somebody. CPAs, for example, anybody who has letters after the name. So you can put CMRM, that's a Certified Medical Revenue Manager, after your name on your business cards and your literature and your website and so forth. And that gives you a little bit more authority when you're speaking to the doctor about their revenue. Believe me, their revenue is probably the most important part of their practice outside of taking care of patients, of course.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Patrick, because we know one of our licensees is up in the Northeast, Terrence Patterson. He actually asked doctors as he's doing engaging in a conversation with them, he'll actually ask them, what are the 3 things that keep you up at night? And the number one answer is my revenue.
Yeah, that's how they keep the practice running. So Eric, let's talk about what medical coding is and define that.
Well, before we do that, let me get to Stacy's question. Stacy has a great question here, and I'm going to let you answer this question. So, how much is the Certified Medical Revenue Manager through ABS?
Well, this is somebody, obviously, Stacy, you haven't been on our website browsing a little bit there because we have an actual section on there about the investment. We actually sell this as like a franchise, but with many, many differences. It's a licensing situation, but it includes, of course, a lot of materials, training, support, access to our private online website for our licensees and so forth. So the total package investment is $25,000.
And which includes your certification. So you get everything here, as Patrick was saying there. So,
But it's
yeah,
much more than just, don't think of it as a course in college, of course, because even though you could spend that kind of money on a college education, it's not just learning about this, it's becoming your own business owner.
uh, 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 exactly. Well, now we're going to just kind of start giving you a little bit of education. And folks that have been on our webinars before, you know that that's what Patrick and I like to do. We like to educate you on the business so that you make a well-informed decision as to whether this business is going to be for you. So we're going to start breaking this down as best we can. And again, like Stacy, and then Bill asked a question about Facebook. Yes, we do have a Facebook page, and uh, I'll figure out how to get that to you, but you should be able to find us under American Business Systems on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
But take the time to ask some questions. If Patrick and I don't give it to you properly, or we as best we can, ask a question and help us. We'll do our best to clarify. All right, so let's just get into this. Let's just talk about and hit this head on. What is medical coding? I mean, obviously, we've got it up there, turning words into numbers for doctors to get paid.
That's how simple it is. Those words, of course, are what the doctor actually finds out that's wrong with the patient. Those are referred to as diagnosis codes. And then those words that the doctor puts in his notes as to what he did to help the patient get well, those are also turned into numbers. So they've numbered everything. Every part of your body has a number. Everything that can go wrong with your body has a number. And everything that can be done to help your body get well has a number. That makes it simple for everybody to compile information nationwide about the incidences of a particular disease and that kind of thing. So doctors just use numbers because it's better than trying to explain each time in words what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the doctor can't just take a piece of paper in the notes and have that typed out and sent to Aetna or United Healthcare, and then they go, oh, we understand what the doctor's saying here. That's why it's been uniformly put together in these codes, and that's what they are. So obviously, folks, you're learning here that there are two sets of codes: diagnosis codes, procedure codes. Diagnosis is what's wrong with you as a patient. The procedure is what the doctor has done for you. And again, we're going to explain that and illustrate that here to you as well. Matter of fact, some of you may have even recognized what this is. This is actually called what's called a super bill. And Patrick, you want to kind of explain what we're seeing here on the super bill?
Yeah, if your doctor has ever given you a copy of this as you leave the office, you've noticed that there's some numbers on there. Now, on this one particular one, you'll see that there's a number circle there, and I think we can zoom in on that. Here it comes. That shows this is a level 4 visit. So
Right.
doctors, depending on how much time they spend with a patient, can bill at 5 different levels. This was a level
Mm-hmm.
4. So all it is just that number that's circled there that the medical biller would put into the system to let the system know that here's what we're being charged for.
Yeah, and so again, it's going to be the doctor's responsibility to circle all this, and he or she knows exactly what they're doing. So obviously, they've learned these codes in school, but some of these codes have changed, as we'll show you here a little bit.
And each
But
doctor, each specialty, each office has their own set of codes that they use, 99% of the time. So this particular super bill is for looks like an eye
doctor,
association,
yeah,
Central Texas.
yeah,
But there would be different codes, of course, for a cardiologist, a different one for a podiatrist, and so forth.
yeah. All right, now let's talk about the first set of codes, which is codes. And Patrick, tell them what ICD stands for.
Okay, so the government agency that you see listed here, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, has come up with what they call the International Classification of Diseases, ICD. and we're currently on version 10 of those codes. Yes, there was a version 1 and a version 2 and so forth, all the way through till October 1st of this year. We were using ICD 9 codes. Now we've transitioned on October 1st to the version 10. And here's the big difference for doctors and for medical billers, I guess. It went from 17,000 codes with ICD-9 to 68,000 diagnostic codes. Eric, I don't know my math very well there, but that's 5 or 6 times as many codes.
Yeah, it's quite a few, and they're all new. So you can imagine for a doctor, they're trying to learn new codes. They're trying to keep up with those new codes, and obviously in an article we're about to show you is actually going to show that there's a huge impact on what's going on with the doctors. As a matter of fact, this is the one that we want to talk to you about. Folks, you can go find this out on the internet. I forgot to put the web address here, but you can find ICD-10 Monitor. And on here you can see there's the title, ICD-10, Some Challenges Remain. And Patrick, the reason I wanted to address this is because we've had some people ask, well, since this October 1 thing has already occurred and doctors are now in ICD-10, really any big need for me to hurry up and get into medical billing since that's kind of already occurred. And as you're going to see here, the doctors are still have challenges that need to be fixed. And our system can be able to do that.
Yeah, and I think the main point we want to point out from this article, folks, if you'll go to that next slide, Eric, it's basically that what we have underlined here by the author, and that is that denials, the insurance company denying paying the claim for the doctor, has been higher for some specialties, and that has negatively impacted their cash flow significantly. Eric, it sounds funny, but I get excited when I read stuff like this. The doctors are not excited about the fact that they are negatively impacted, but we are, because this is our business. Our licensees are trained to help those doctors solve those cash flow problems.
Exactly, and we can't put it in any better terms than a third party outside of American Business Systems can put. This Holly Louie, she is a RN. She knows that. She knows what's really going on with the challenges that our doctors are facing. So we really want to demonstrate to you that it is still a great need for doctors to get the right codes. Patrick, before we go too much further, Mohammed is asking a question. I don't want to lose too many of these questions, and I like to stop and ask some of these questions because I want to encourage more people to ask questions.
Yes.
But Mohammed has asked the questions. He wants to know, will we help our licensees find clients? You want to answer that real quickly before we move on?
Well, the basic answer is yes. We do a lot to help our licensees find clients. Now, we have other webinars that you can watch out there on our website that go into more detail, Mohammed, exactly how we do that. But the point is that is what we are all about. We are a training and support company. For the last 21 years, all we've done is put people into this business, trained them how to go out and find clients, and then to do the billing for those clients and manage their revenue cycle. So that's, in a nutshell, yes, we're definitely going to help you. Now, if you're thinking that we're going to go out and sign up a doctor and then hand the contract to you, we don't do that because we're not in the medical billing business, not at this point in our career, our stage as a company. My wife did medical billing back in 1987 for doctors, but we sold those accounts and started focusing in the early 90s specifically on helping people like yourself build their own business.
Exactly. And one of the ways that we do that, Mohammed, is by educating you to be able to go back out there and educate the doctors. And one of those things is this particular quote here, Patrick, from the American Academy of Professional Coders. You want to talk about this?
Yeah, this one, when I first found this, I was just amazed that they basically found that the average number of rejected claims for a medical practice averages around 34%. Now, that's exactly 1/3 of all the claims that are sent in are rejected or denied. And there's lots of reasons why that happens, but the point is that we can help with that. Our system, as you'll see, a cloud-based system, helps those doctors and our licensees get that denial rate less than 2%. Now, think about what that means for the doctor. The bottom line for the doctor is more money in their practice to do whatever they need to do with their cash. Add new staff members, buy new equipment, et cetera, et cetera. That's quite a difference.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I love this quote, because again, it's not coming from us or anybody else, but it's coming from a group of professional coders. And the reason that they're saying this is because a lot of these rejected claims are because of coding errors. And it's amazing how even doctors, again, still, they may know their codes, but again, we're going to show them ways of helping them. And Patrick, even whenever there is that 34%, half of those are denied claims. They're never resubmitted. And so we have a worried doctor here.
Yeah, 50%, in other words, of those claims, those 34% of all the claims that are rejected are never resubmitted. Now, Eric, there's lots of reasons for that, of course. Obviously, in a doctor's office, there's lots going on. I mean, when I walk up to that bulletproof glass and look inside there at all the people working in a doctor's office, I have no idea what they're doing, but they are frantic. It's chaos inside that office.
Yeah, it is. Well, we've all been in those doctor's offices. We may have an appointment for 2:30, but not be seen by the doctor until 4:15. So I think we all understand that. Some doctors may have a lack of skill in actually getting the right codes out there too as well, and then sometimes just the lack of knowledge to recode, and that's where I think that's where we find some of our doctors today, because of the new ICD-10 codes, the new diagnosis codes. I mean, if they don't have a system that's telling them, they're really in trouble.
Yeah, that's right. And as you'll see, folks, we have the system. This is why you don't have to know about coding, because it's all built into our system. And then if you do need help, we have certified medical coders who are on board ready to help you.
Well, here's some of what it impacts. And certainly the biggest thing is lost revenue opportunities. Patrick, one of the things that that often we get to do some demonstrations for doctors. And one of the things that I like to show on our system here is that our system is going to show the doctor where they're losing money and where those lost revenue opportunities are. And that's probably the biggest thing, that's the biggest eye opener for doctors, is when we do these demonstrations, one of the things we do show them in those demonstrations is not how good our system is, but what we're doing is showing them their lost revenue opportunities currently.
Yeah.
And I don't care what system that they're using.
Right.
The way that our system works, as you well know, it's working in live real time. So we're able to get to show that to them first of all.
Yeah, and that poor cash flow is the reason why a lot of small businesses go out of business, to be honest with you. Is just they don't have enough cash flow coming through on a regular basis. And that's because they're not coding those things appropriately. Plus, there's those compliance risks for the violations that are out there, Eric. A lot of people don't realize the financial risks for a doctor when they have violated some of the rules of submitting those claims using the wrong codes. And
right.
As you've illustrated here, they're walking a tightrope trying to make sure that they don't undercode, because if they undercode, of course, that cuts down on their revenue. But if they overcode, they can be fined by CMS for having overcoded, on a regular basis.
Yeah, so it is a fine line. And what Patrick is talking about there, remember he mentioned earlier that there are 5 levels of office visits, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously the doctor doesn't want to do all level 5s. That's the highest reimbursement that they could do. If they're just seeing people taking blood pressure and taking their weight and sending them out the door, that would actually be overcoding. But a lot of doctors just don't know, did they do a level 3? Did they do a level 4? They just don't know that. Our system will literally help them understand and keep them right where they need to be. It just reduces the risk, and it actually, by reducing the risk, it actually helps them increase their revenue.
Now, let's get right to the meat of this whole webinar. What the purpose is to say that you can start your own medical billing business with no coding background. And here's why. It boils down to this. It's the doctor's responsibility to provide those codes to you. The doctor's responsibility, not your responsibility. So that's why doctors do hire sometimes medical coders. They're very expensive to put somebody in your office that's all they're doing is making sure the codes are correct. But they do that sometimes because they want to make sure that the codes are accurate. And we've solved that problem.
Right. And again, you imagine a doctor on average sees a, I don't know, 20 to 25 patients a day. Sometimes a lot of doctors want to see more. So obviously they're booking and double booking and sometimes triple booking their appointment books to make sure that they get that there's just no downtime in that office. Now, can you imagine for a doctor to properly see you as a patient, really diagnose what's wrong with you properly, do what they need to do, and then take that and then get that to a biller? Sometimes that can be a little difficult, and that's why some doctors like to use a coder. But again, our software can actually do the coding for them, and that's one of the things that's great about our system. But Patrick, some people have asked, well, if the doctor's doing all this coding, how do they get that to me?
Yeah, there's two
As a biller.
ways primarily that the doctor could get that to you. Using technology, of course, like a scanner or a fax machine even, they can get the super bills to you that have the code circled on there. That would give you what you needed to put into our system to do the billing. But the great part of our system is, folks, that we have electronic medical records built into our system, that if the doctor opts to use that system, they can actually, using an iPad or a computer, can actually click a few buttons and those codes are sent to you into the system internally automatically.
And if they're using it that way, as they're going through their notes, and this is one of the great ways that, for those that are on the call today and listening and maybe listen to later on as a recording, it's hard to grasp this. That's why we offer you opportunities for us to do a demonstration of that for you, that you can see that, because that helps clear the fog, so to say, as how you get the codes and what an impact that you're able to make. And this is huge, saving the doctor just a ton of time. Patrick, what we're going to do now, we're going to just kind of walk through. I thought maybe the best way to illustrate this, we've all gone to the doctor, we've all gone in with a cough or something. So I thought it would be the best way just to kind of just walk our way through as though we're going through it, but we're kind of looking at it through the lenses of this whole thing about medical coding. So
Yeah,
obviously,
it's kind of a
we've all
behind the scenes look. This is how the doctor sees you. You see yourself with a cough. The doctor is actually, when they're examining you, they are seeing you as having an RO5.
right. So okay, so you've walked in, you tell the doctor you got a cough, they listen, they do all of their things there, and then they put that diagnosis down. Well, you've got a cough. Well, for anybody that's on the call today that knows any of the new codes, you'll recognize that this might be one of the new ICD-10 codes for a cough. So remember that code, because we're going to use that code here in just a moment. But the doctor's not through. He's just discovered what is your problem. That's all they've done. They discovered what your problem is.
Yeah, so
Use the diagnosis code. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that the purpose of diagnosis codes is listed there on the screen. It's for reporting the patient's conditions, signs, and symptoms of their illness or their disease or injury.
Yep.
Now, you're thinking to yourself, well, wouldn't it be just as easy to put down cough than know the code for cough? Well, it might be in this particular instance, but what if it's a break in the arm below the elbow, and it's the left arm, and it's a very intense break? You see, now you have to go into detail on those words where there's a code for that.
That's correct. Absolutely. So the doctor diagnoses you, and then the doctor will then at that point do what they're called their procedure. So the time that they're taking, maybe they might do an injection of some sort. So that's what we come up here right now. We've actually got the procedure codes now. So we've got this level 3 visit, as you can see there, and then a 95115, which is a code for the injection. And you can see clearly down there the use of the procedure code is reporting for the doctor's time, their evaluation of the patient, and their management of the patient. So again, what we're trying to do here today, this afternoon, is to simplify this as much as we can. Again, you're not coding. We're just showing you what's about to happen now, because the doctor is wrapping up their visit. Now we got to get this information to you as the medical biller. So we're going to illustrate it this way. One more time, and then we're going to get into this. A diagnosis code is what's wrong with the patient. And as we've seen illustrated, we see this patient has a cough. Procedure code is what the doctor has done for the patient, what the doctor did for the patient, and it's demonstrated by these codes here. Patrick, you want to kind of share a little bit more about this and
Well,
just kind
let
of
me just say this. Of course, there's thousands of injections, right? What kind of injection is this?
oh gosh,
But
yeah,
this is for the purpose of billing. So all that Medicare or an insurance company would be interested in is the fact that you did take time and did an injection. Now, in the doctor's notes, there's where the doctor can go into detail as to what type of injection, what was injected into the patient, and maybe even some details about the visit. The patient said this, and I said this, and I recommended that. That's all in the doctor's notes, which he just basically can dictate directly into our system, and it translates it into text. It's a wonderful system. But the point is that this is how the doctor gets paid for that cough that he saw.
right. And folks, again, the doctor can't send all this to the insurance companies and just saying cough and a level 3 visit and this injection here. They've got to do that. So how do they do that? Well, we're going to demonstrate that as best we can for you using our system today of iClaim. So follow along with me. This is a very short version of a demonstration that we can show you. So we've got those codes,
Hey,
and we're going to process
Eric,
claim.
let me say the
Yeah.
purpose of what he's about to show you, folks, is to show you how easy this is. This is not brain surgery, pun intended. This is medical billing inside of our iClaim cloud-based system, and how simple it is for you to go in and make sure that the doctor gets paid.
Exactly. So the first place, I guess we're going to go right there where it says billing. And that's going to bring us up this little panel right here where we can enter charges and we can do some other things here. We're going to go right here, professional claim charges. Now, I've already got this set for a specific patient here, and this is the top part of what we're looking at when we're looking at doing an actual claim. Obviously, we want to make sure we have the correct patient. So we're looking at the patient chart here and where they live, and obviously it says right there at the top CMS 1500. That's Center of Medicare and Medicaid Services. This is their universal form that they use. And someone's asking me over here, the question is how do you compare with software with billing services like EasyClaim or Metasoft? Well, as you can see here, Arshad, we're just going to absolutely blow them away. And what makes this good for us and makes this even better is because part of what we have that those other companies don't have is that we own our own clearinghouse. So that gives us an advantage, completely different advantage. But as we keep going through this, if we were looking at this in real time and doing this in a demonstration, I would have scrolled up, and I'm just getting to the next section here. And you can see here, we're at the diagnosis code. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to take that code, that diagnosis code of that cough, that R05, and we're going to place it right here in this number 1 slot right there. So you can see there, when we place that in there, it actually comes up with the description. And as Patrick said, our system already has all of the codes built into it. And as you can see here, we even have a reminder for you if the doctor still codes in the ICD-9s. So we can help you as the biller click on one of those things. So like if we were looking at that acute pharyngitis right there, we could click on that and it's going to populate on the other side exactly which one that you need to use for the ICD-10. It's very, very easy. Once you have that, since that's the only diagnosis code that we have, that's all we're going to put in here. The next thing we're going to do is come down and scroll down a little bit further. This is going to get us into the procedure codes. And the next little thing you see here, we've actually put the level of service, the 99213, and that injection there. However, our system also has put the fee schedule in there, what's called the charge for that particular visit for that doctor, and it's calculated up the entire total. Wherefore you, as, again, the medical billing company, you're just checking and making sure all of this is done properly. You'll finally do your last scroll down, come down here and click on Create Claim. And folks, at that point, you've created a claim for your doctor in real time. And again, we would love to demonstrate this for you in real time as well. So again, contact your ABS business coach, and we'll help you through that. Patrick, you want to kind of go back through that anymore? Is there?
No, but I
How do you think
counted
you
your
did
clicks,
with
and
that?
with 8 clicks, you created a claim. Now, folks, this is hard to believe, but once the patient data is in the system, when that patient comes back next month to see the doctor, you literally click 8 times and you've billed for that visit. It literally takes less than a minute for you to refile a claim for a patient that's been there before. Now, if the patient's brand new, you have to get that patient information into the system. But remember, if the doctor is using our electronic medical record system, the patient can actually give them the insurance card number, and it pulls it from the insurance database directly into the system. So it's all automatic. But even if you had to type it in, it's probably not over 3 or 4 minutes of actual input time.
Yeah, let me go back over there. I'll just show this to you here. Just kind of give you a quick tour. What Patrick is talking about is this eligibility request. And for those that are wondering, well, how is your system better than anybody else's system? Folks, it's this little one that's just right there. I'm going to go right. Whoop, I think I went past it there. It's just right there where it says eligibility request. What that does, it opens up a completely new part here where you're able to go in and really you're able to see exactly whether that patient is eligible to receive their medical benefits or not in real time. And the reason is because we own our own clearinghouse. And that's where we find our greatest advantage. And that's where, Patrick, this is how we're closing over 50% of the demonstrations that we're doing for our licensees for their doctors.
Yeah, because when the doctors see this, folks, they are literally blown away. This is the most leading edge technology that's out there. They've all dreamed of having a system that does this type of thing. And you'll literally hear as you're on the phone or the computer listening to the demonstration being done by our staff with your doctor prospective client, you'll hear them saying things behind the scenes to one another. The office manager and the doctor are talking to one another. Did you see that? Wow, we need that. I didn't know that was possible. All kinds of stuff. It's just incredible to hear this done. That's why half of all those demos end up in being a client for one of our licensees. So the question was asked earlier, do we help you get clients? Yes, there's one way to do it through our live demos.
I'd like to kind of take a quick poll. I know we don't have our poll thing here, but if you'll answer in your question box here, out of all the people that we have on the webinar today, just type in that yes, you've seen a demo, or no, you haven't seen a demo. I really would like to get some feedback here, because if you haven't taken the time to watch us do this demonstration for you, you're missing out. It's almost like you're trying to buy a car without out test driving the car. So let's see what we've got here. Let's see. We've got some people that said yes, they've seen it. No, not yet. Yes, haven't seen the demo. So there you go, folks. If you haven't seen the demonstration yet, please get with your ABS business coach here and schedule that demo with them. There's nothing more powerful that we could do for you to help educate you than us do these demos and walk you through what we just walked you through just now.
Yeah, boy, there's a bunch of questions here too that we need to get to, Eric. So we're pretty close here, aren't we?
Yeah, we're doing pretty well. We've got 15 more minutes here, just about, and
well, let's talk about let's talk about what if they do have questions about coding, or the doctor doesn't really know what the code should be and still can't figure it out even using our system. One of the things that we have, of course, are these auxiliary services that Eric has pictured here that you can offer to the doctor. All, of course, whether or not you want to or not, it's up to you. But all of these help you get in the door and provide other ways to help the doctor. So, Eric, tell them about the CodeWrite there.
Yeah, CodeWrite is one of our auxiliary services that you're able to use. I like to put it this way, and if you're a brand new licensee and you're out there marketing your business, and the doctor comes out to you and says, well, do you have a coder on staff? Well, without you looking like a deer in the headlights going, I have no idea what you're talking about, you're able to exactly be able to say, yes, not only do I have coders on my staff, but I have literally hundreds of people that I can turn to in any type of specialty. And one of the marketing pieces that you do get with us here is the flyer that you're seeing to the left, which is the CodeWrite. And you can see there that with this could literally help you improve up to 30% on reimbursement rates. Now, what you're looking on the right-hand side, Patrick, I'm going to let you share a little bit about that because that's one of the marketing pieces that an ABS licensee can actually use.
Yeah, in addition to the flyer on the left there, you also have a postcard and a greeting card that's already been created for you that can be sent out automatically to the people that you contact as a follow-up and that tells them about the CodeRight service. So we've had licensees tell us that they've put people on our automatic follow-up system even once they became a client and began doing their billing. And later on, those people decided that they'd like to know a little bit more about one of these other services because of the cards that were coming to them in the mail once a month automatically. So they're wonderful marketing tools. Again, folks, we've put hundreds of thousands of dollars into the development of tools that can help you get as many clients as you need.